I've been so honored to serve as the first council member for the 1st District of West Seattle and South Park. Public service is my life's work, and despite my 21 years in it, I'm still humbled by the responsibility, invigorated by the good that can be done, and challenged by all that there is still to do. 4 years ago, I promised more laws that protect renters. And we did that with my source of income discrimination protection law to help renters get in and stay in housing regardless of their income source. We also passed Fair Chance Housing Bill. We passed the Fair Chance Housing Bill, and we passed an open housing ordinance closing loopholes for tenants with disabilities. 4 years ago, I promised solidarity with our workers, and Councilmember Gonzalez and I passed a groundbreaking fair scheduling law that's being replicated in other cities across the country, and I believe there's also a bill in the state legislature. What was it, second city?
What's that?
Second city to have it? Something like that?
Second city.
Second city, yeah. I also legislated a new private right of action for workers to get justice, and we extended the statute of limitations for sexual harassment in the workplace. My companion bill to Councilmember Mosqueda's Domestic Workers Bill of Rights gives domestic workers protection from harassment, discrimination, and retaliation in the workplace. I promised to make our district's voice heard on transportation. Long overdue projects like sidewalks have been built, roads repaired, and the Lander Street overpass funded. And as West Seattle grows, equitable access to transit is more critical than ever. I've lent my voice to yours in getting more bus service for South Park, Alki, Highland Park, Dalridge, and Admiral. 4 years ago, I promised to be an advocate for small business too. I insisted on holding 85% of businesses harmless from a business license fee increase in 2017. I exempted all but the largest retail and chain restaurants in Councilmember Gonzalez's and I's secure scheduling ordinance, specifically to make sure that small business did not have to deal with the overhead and the complexity of that law. I've been working since 2016 to develop a new legacy business program and to nominate one legacy business in each of Seattle's 7 council districts. And then when the council passed the University District MHA, the Mandatory Housing Affordability Upzones in the University District, the small business owners on the Ave reached out to me for help. Together we convinced the council to exempt the Ave from the rezones until they could do an economic impact analysis. I also helped businesses on 23rd to call for the creation of a new $650,000 business stabilization fund to mitigate impacts from an SDOT project. And I worked to secure millions of dollars for a stormwater and flood control system to help the businesses in South Park in a long marginal way. Finally, I've worked with businesses in Luna Park and Fauntleroy to reduce parking impacts from major SDOT capital projects in both areas. 4 years ago, I also promised to be a voice for accountability in City Hall. I led the passage of an ordinance requiring a results-based accountability framework for all of our human services investments. I led Seattle Public Utilities to include a new cost recovery approach for developers, so ratepayers would subsidize fewer of the utility system development costs in new development because our rates are already too high. I led the effort to stop subsidizing the now bankrupt Pronto, and I brought scrutiny to the downtown streetcar, the shopping shuttle Walk-in shuttle is an economic development project and not a transportation project. Transportation dollars are scarce, and we should invest them in real transit options. Being your council member is an incredible responsibility, and it's a tough job too. But it should be, because there is just so much that we still have to do together. We talk about the importance of equity, but we are not yet a city of equity. Equity means that those benefiting most from Seattle's prosperity contribute their fair share so that the people who work here can afford to live here. Our retired workers deserve to live in the city that they built and run too. Impacts of the vast success of a few should not be borne by those least able to shoulder the burden of increased housing costs and our city just not having enough affordable housing. The housing levy could not meet the needs, so we passed MHA. Now developers, when they build commercial or residential projects, must contribute to affordable housing. Nevertheless, rent increases in Seattle have been among the largest in the country, and most Seattle renters pay more than a third of their income in rent. In fact, 22% pay more than half of their income in rent. Wow. Many people move out of the city, and many people become homeless. Our nonprofit partners are moving more people out of homelessness faster than they ever have before. But more people become homeless every day. That's why we are still seeing increases in homelessness people. It's not because our programs aren't working. There are two kinds of displacement: economic displacement and physical displacement. Now that's city speak for can't afford the rent, or your apartment's been torn down and replaced with a new building that you can't afford to pay the rent in. So it's city speak. It's still being displaced from the city, whether or not it's economic displacement or physical displacement. 85% of the region's housing built in the last 10 years has been luxury housing. Developers have to help us mitigate the physical displacement, the demolition of affordable housing replaced with unaffordable housing. And if not, the city has to do much more than we're currently doing to protect our existing affordable housing from the wrecking ball.
Yes.
I know my friends in South Park are really concerned about this, and I want to work with you to tackle this and convince my colleagues on the council that this is something that we really need to have a laser focus on. We have a lot of vulnerable communities. Equity also means equitable investment in our neighborhoods and distribution of public resources to those areas that need it most. And this is where some of the most satisfying moments of my job come in. The constituent work that my team and I do. In a district system, constituent work can reaffirm and in some instances, restore our faith in government. So homelessness in our city is such a big issue, and so many people are frustrated that we haven't been successful in solving it. But when we help get the derelict building in your neighborhood boarded up, or help get the street lights fixed on a street where there have been assaults, or get a crosswalk where your kids walk to school, or help fix the water at your library, or add hours to the teen center, or fight alongside businesses in Luna Park and Fauntleroy to save some of the parking that the city wants to take, then you know that I work for you, and together we can get things done. So together, I think we can do more and do better in tackling the big issues like homelessness too. But if we want an equitable city, we need the fortitude, the resilience, the stamina to work harder and to stay focused on bringing to scale what we know works. We need better laws for tenants to get into and stay in housing. We need enhanced low barrier shelter the kind that people who live outside want to go inside for. We need the law enforcement assisted diversion program to be brought to scale in order to divert people from the costly court system and towards life-sustaining services. We need the help from the state for drug treatment and mental health funding, and I'm so glad that Senator Joe Nguyen is here with us today. He's an Olympia for us, and he's going to help us get it done. And we need help from the county, too. And I'm just looking, scanning. There was somebody from King County who might have been here, so I'm just scanning to see if I can do a shout out. Okay, moving on. So finally, the housing. We have 5 more years of our housing levy. And I think for those last 5 years, we should double what we put towards funding housing. We need to build the kind of housing that become a home if and even if you have an addiction or you have mental illness. That is the kind of housing we need to be building. Yes. Everybody in this city is arguing about what causes homelessness. Not having housing is what causes homelessness. This year, like every year, the request from our partners who build this housing is nearly 2 times the available funding from the city. Our partners this year want to build and preserve 2,500 units. I think we should prioritize using our bonding authority to build all of these units, and we should do so for each of the next 5 years. Do what works and bring it to scale. Remember, Councilmember Gonzalez? That's the plan that they said we didn't have. Last election we won despite being outspent 3-1, and we will have to mobilize again if we want to keep a progressive majority on the city council. The chamber has pledged to flex their muscle in my race just like they did in 2015. My opponents think they know some special secret sauce that will solve all of our problems. Join me in challenging the status quo when we need change, demanding to bring to scale the data-driven, performance-based solutions that work, and making this a city that works for everyone, our workforce, our small businesses, our renters, our seniors, our artists, our youth, and you. I will be able to succeed with you by my side. A few thank yous before I went to leave the stage. I want to thank everybody who made this kickoff possible, especially B. Dahlia, my kickoff coordinator, volunteers Michelle Witzke, Ivan Weiss, Jonathan Hauser, Bill Dow, Eric B. Thorber, Carl DeVault, Steve Nix, Stephanie Nicolai, Mike Bright, Kate Kirkpatrick, Mike Schuler, Megan Thorberg, and Julie Sheckling, Michelle Saunders, and if I missed anybody, I apologize. And special thanks to my husband Bob, my daughter Megan, my grandchildren Jamea and Jamil, my team at City Hall, Rule, Alex, Jean, Dimitri, Shannon, your unwavering support through the 2015 campaign, as well as the tumultuous term on the council, has given me strength to run and win again in 2019. Thank you so much.